All right, folks. One thing that gets my goat about this whole stuff of church, what about the recent stuff, is that, well, there's a number of points that all lead back to the same thing. You're never going to learn from your mistakes. If you have the attitude that, well, we all make mistakes, nothing to see here. If that's your attitude, then it's like, no. If you've got the pastor of the church making a statement in his presentation of John 15, saying that the church has now replaced the Son of God as the vine, that is a huge thing to claim. Huge. And therefore, for it to be wrong, simply saying afterwards when you're challenged on that, well, what I meant was we are the branches, well, then say that, but that is still wrong. If you want to be a church of people that own their mistakes and learn from their mistakes, then you have to take ownership. The leadership have to be the ones leading the people in that way. That church is never going to be a church that is going to walk according to God, because they will never learn from the mistakes they're making that are stopping them from walking according to God. Because their attitude to mistakes is, well, yeah. When your attitude is, oh, well, then you're basically, with all these things, you're letting that bit go. 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 Continuation. All these little things that you just let go. Because, again, we are in this society where you can't say anything, because if you say anything, people could get offended. So, well, like you've got quite a few husband and wife teams who are part of the leadership and who present the services, right? So let's say, any of them, right? The one who isn't doing the service sees that the person who's doing the service is saying some things that are not true, right? Well, there's two possibilities there. Either they see those things that aren't true, but then ignore it because it's better than offending the person. Maybe ask God to help that person to see what they're doing wrong and correct it before the time of the service. That's the best they do. They do that because, okay, that's what they do. Or they just don't see it. They just don't see that thing that's being said is wrong. So maybe Matthew's wife doesn't see that when he says that when the Lord said, all that power and authority from heaven and earth has been given to me, and then Matthew said, and he gave that to the disciples. He gave that power and authority to the disciples. And then he said, therefore go. No, it doesn't say he gave it, because he didn't give it. Because, as I said before, if he'd given what he just said he has to the disciples, he would have gone to heaven with no power and no authority. None. Because he would have given it. That's what Matthew said was the case. That's what he said. Now, what he meant, I don't give a crap what he meant. The reason why I don't give a crap what he meant, because he never explained it afterwards that what he said was wrong, because what he meant was he never did any of that in the service. All he did was that. Right? Same as Archie. When Archie said that point about, yeah. the church now being the plant as in the vine, that's huge. That is a massive thing to claim. Monumental. Claiming that, right? If the week later, if Archie would have come, and because obviously before the services he says things anyway, same as Judas says things anyway. So if he had taken the opportunity and saying, okay, look, last week I did John 15. When I was doing John 15, I said, and what I said was wrong. Right? What I thought I meant was that we are the branches, but that again would have been wrong because we're not. The church is not the branches. The church, the people in the church are the branches. Right? So therefore I'd have been wrong about that as well. So clearly on that occasion, this would be Archie speaking, I was not led by God. And that's a problem because I said some things that are, almost demonic. And that isn't good. We need to learn from that. We need to improve that. And we need to improve our position of being led by God. So we need prayer in that area. If he'd have said all of that, I would have gone, well done. I'd have done the video saying, wow, that impressed me. He actually recognised his mistake. I went and spoke to him afterwards. And okay, he took it to God. He understood his mistake. He understood the level of it, or at least some of the level of it. And he brought it to church as something that they could learn from. Did he do that? No. No, of course not. No. But that's what he should have done. With that, he should have done that. But he didn't. Matthew should have done it with what he said, but he didn't. And that's the point. If your attitude in churches, well, we all make mistakes, so no worries. We do, yeah. But as I said in the last video, if God made the same mistake and he sent you all to hell, and that was I just made a mistake, but don't worry. Nothing to see here. As the whole leadership from that church went to hell, and it was a mistake, but don't worry, stay in hell. We just ignore that mistake, right? I'm pretty sure that people in that situation would be saying, no, don't ignore it. Deal with it, please. Have this being something we can learn from, rather than just ignoring it. But are they willing to do that? No. Of course not, no. And to me, that's the problem. You've got people in church who would be encouraged immensely if the leadership were willing to admit from their mistakes. But because it would help the people lower down do the same, wouldn't it? And that'd be lovely if that can happen. But the reality is, it takes those in leadership to lead in that way. And those in leadership have no desire to lead in that way. And again, it's just that situation when I look at it and go, yeah. How on earth did these people ever get into a position of leadership? I don't get it. And what I do, they were willing to step up. Not that they were called by God, they were willing to step up. And again, it's that point, isn't it? That the opportunities were always there to have videos being talked about what they were doing, being wonderful, being marvellous, being a wonderful example of how church should be done. Who decided that the videos wouldn't be that? Them. By the way they did things. They decided the church wouldn't be about that. Because of the way they did things. They decided that. I didn't. Yeah. But that's the point, really. Yeah. This channel used to be called A Normal Christian. The reason why it's called A Normal Christian is because it was talking about the things that most people who are of God are going to face. And yeah, so talking about churches doing stuff like this, most people are in churches that take no account of their mistakes. They don't try and own them and learn from them. So therefore, talking about this is right, because those people who are going through that then can understand, well, it's not just me then. And so they know that other people are in the same shoes as them, which helps. It does help. It is encouraging, because you know that God's going to deal with it, therefore. So anyway, you take care.